the viewers who don't know you, who are you, what's your story, and Raunak, and like what's your journey been, especially like from being an engineer to doing an MBA and then getting into content and everything and acting, and so you've worn so many hats. So like, what's the story?
Yeah. Firstly, after so many, like maybe months, we are able to do this. So Rakshit and I worked together at LinkedIn in the same creator team, editorial team actually, and we were planning this since long, but finally it's happening. So that's great.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to get a colleague for a podcast than to get an external guest. But yeah, finally we're doing this in our winter break. So that's
Yes,
great.
finally.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, uh, talking about my journey, I did my engineering from my hometown Nagpur, from Nagpur University.
Mhm.
Realized midway that this is not something for me. But obviously, typical story. But then you have to complete it somehow because you have it's a 4 year course. So
Yeah.
you realize usually after 2.5 years. So it's a midway. You can't even go back and do a new course because then you'll be behind your friends, and you
Uh-huh.
can all. And therefore, you have to like complete it somehow. So
Mhm.
I did that. Like I did well, I cheated a lot to finish my engineering because I really couldn't like understand stuff, but I somehow completed it. But
Uh-huh.
while doing my engineering, like second year onward, I was also I knew that just studying won't get me anywhere because I'm not interested in what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
I started doing a lot of volunteering stuff in my city, in my hometown Nagpur. So for example, I used to volunteer for random events, any TEDx happening, or TEDx was a big thing for Nagpur at that time.
Yeah.
Any TEDx happening or any session or any lit fest happening, for example. So I used to go and volunteer there just to.
How old was this? Like, when was this? Which year?
This was around 2009 to 2013.
Okay, yeah, wow. That
Yeah,
that time I think TEDx was big everywhere.
yeah. So, so say Lit Fest, TEDx, any events where I could say get out of my engineering friend circle
Yeah.
and meet new people and learn new things somehow. So
Mhm.
I did a lot of that, and then I also worked with this organization, social organization called Make a Difference,
Mhm.
which was at that time the goal was to teach spoken English to
Yeah,
less privileged kids.
yeah.
So and they had a very nice corporate structure module in which they used to have a recruitment drive of volunteers.
Mhm.
So they used to have like a proper corporate group discussion, then a personal interview.
Oh,
Then once you get selected, there used to be a training for these volunteers,
yeah.
and so we used to have like proper books through which we used to teach this kids. So it was like a proper training structure module, and
Mhm.
it was also they had structured the city teams like a corporate. For example, there was a national team,
Okay.
then there were regional teams, then
Yeah.
there were city teams. So it
Mhm.
was like a proper structure. So it was the experience was like working in a bigger organization. So that first year I was a teacher. I used to teach kids spoken English. I did that for a year, and
Mhm.
then they also open up opportunities to get into the city team, national team, regional team.
Mhm.
So at that time, I'd applied to be in the city team.
Yeah.
So there was again an application process. I went through interviews, assignments, case studies, whatever, and
Oh,
then
wow. You
I,
have case studies and stuff for that as well?
yeah.
Wow, okay.
For example, like it was something like if you are in a shelter home where the kids have their school from X time to X time, and you just have like 1 hour in between. How do you make sure that you go there and teach them? Like basically problem solving and all that.
Mhm.
So I went there. So I got selected in the city team. I
Mhm.
was handling the HR operations, which
Okay.
included, say, uh, I used I was responsible for conducting the recruitment drives. I was
Yeah.
responsible for organizing these events, basically HR related volunteer management kind of stuff. So that gave me a good experience of how, like, say, a corporate structure or that world really looks like. Whereas
Yeah.
in my engineering, it was more of just like engineering, especially from colleges which are in smaller cities, it's just too much chaos. We are just like doing random stuff. Like teachers tell you these questions will come in an exam, you just prepare for them, you go and write and you pass.
Yeah.
So there was no such experience. So like Make a Difference was first, say, outward experience of the real world for me.
Mhm.
Was that because of this, then I also got to know that there are various other fields where you can study more, learn and explore new stuff. For example, in my engineering circle, it was more of you do the BE, Bachelor of Engineering, and then you do say MTech, which is the next step, or you do say go to the US, do MS, whatever.
Huh.
But here, because I was meeting people from various cities, regions, I
Mhm.
got to know a lot of stuff. So that is when I realized that okay, something in media is of interest to me. I don't know what, but like something in media is what I knew.
Yeah.
So then I started just Googling randomly for best media colleges in India or whatever
Yeah.
typical stuff, because there was no one to guide and there was no YouTube, Instagram where
Huh.
people used to give you career advice. So you
Yeah.
just like Google and try stuff. Then I
Mhm.
got to know that there are a few media colleges which
Mhm.
are good. So there was Micah, there was Symbiosis, there was Xavier's and other. So I gave all the entrance exams for these colleges.
Mhm.
And then I got through SIMC, Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication.
Mhm.
And the specialization that I got was brand communication.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was the first like step. And again, I till my engineering, I was in my hometown, Nagpur. I was in my
Huh.
city.
Hmm.
And for SIMC, I had to go to Pune and stay in a hostel. So that was again a good experience because I got to go out of my house, uh, live on my own while
Hmm.
also study something new. So that was, I think, one of my life changing experiences because that is where it shaped me in a way.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Symbiosis happened. I spent 2 years there, did a lot of stuff. Uh, but the thing was, again, I was not very sure that what I want to do.
Yeah.
The general trajectory for a student at Symbiosis was you study for 2 years, you do internships, whatever, and
Mhm.
then you primarily work in an ad agency or a media agency. For
Okay.
example, that was the thing.
Mhm.
Uh, Hardly any people used to go to say a marketing manager at say a Zomato or any other company. It was
Okay.
more of agency related stuff. But
Mhm.
one interesting thing was that I realized that I need to again try something different. So after the first year in summer, we have to do an internship,
Yeah.
and I interned at Canvas Laugh Club,
Okay.
which was a comedy club, which was
Huh.
the only comedy club in India at that time. It was
Okay.
in Mumbai in Lower Parel.
Yeah.
So I interned there as I worked with the programming head of the company, which was basically his job was to say program stand-up shows throughout the month or for in the week. So talking to comedians, asking for their dates, then
Yeah.
thinking, okay, we used to have a show called Best in Stand-up, which
Okay.
used to run from Thursday to Sunday,
Mhm.
and each show had three comedians. Like Thursday to Sunday, three comedians will perform for
Yeah.
all those days. So then talking to the comedians, taking their dates, then making sure, okay, these two are mid-level comedians. We need to get one headliner. Then this comedian is primarily Hindi. We need to get one English one and maybe one English kind of. Then we need to get one host and two headliners. So like thinking from
Oh,
that perspective.
yeah.
So it was like content programming.
Yeah.
The way how we do currently for digital,
Yeah.
it was like for comedy shows. So that was something that really,
Yes, and curating speakers and everything like that. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I've had that
yeah.
experience in TEDx also, right? Because you have to curate speakers and get the right
Correct.
speakers and everything.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
So that was there. And it was interesting because I used to get to interact with all the top comedians in India at that time, who are now like big enough, like right from Veer Das to say even these AIB people, they were
Uh,
big at that time, to
yeah.
all the comedians that you see now.
Hmm.
Like the old ones basically, not the newer ones, but yeah. So interacting with them and uh, learning their thought process of
Hmm.
how they tell jokes, how they construct their set, how
Hmm.
they make sure that, say, for example, if I deliver two jokes, they don't land,
Yeah.
which is their joke from their bag, which will really work and which
Yeah.
works all the time. So how
Hmm.
do they structure that? How
Hmm.
do they judge the audience? For example, we used to be in the green room,
Hmm.
and these three comedians used to perform. So when the first one goes in, that comedian comes to the green room, he used to give a sense of the audience to the other comedians that today the crowd is not that much. Corporate jokes are working really well because I think there are
Ah.
young IT professionals in the crowd and not students. So
Hmm.
make sure you use those jokes. So
Yeah.
they used to give that sense of audience to the people. So we were able to judge that, and I was able to learn that from there. just
Okay.
how just how in content also, when we create or you create, you
Yeah.
know that this topic will really work, this
Yeah.
topic might not work. So
Yeah.
this was happening in physical space and on a
Wow.
daily basis. So that in a way shaped how I also like think.
Uh-huh.
And these comedians used to have like vague and random thoughts, like uh, like when you hear a stand-up special or something, and a comedian says a thought, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't think from this perspective.
Yeah.
Imagine happening that to you on a daily basis.
Oh
It's
shit.
like yeah, it's like mind opening all the time.
Yeah.
And I used to, so my internship used to happen, so I used to go to office at 11,
Hmm.
and it used to be like typical till 5, 6, 7, whatever, and these shows
Yeah.
used to start at 8 p.m.
Hmm.
But I used to make sure that I wait from 8 till whenever the show ends, because obviously internship, and I wanted to learn more.
Yeah.
So I used to wait for the shows almost every day,
Hmm.
barring a few days, but almost every day I used to wait for these shows, interact with these comedians. And imagine Thursday to Sunday when this show used to happen,
Yeah.
every day, same set they used to deliver, like same jokes.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can't like put
Exactly.
same
Yeah.
jokes every day, but
Uh,
used to still be there. I like had their jokes by heart, but every time like there was something different to learn
uh-huh.
for these comedians. And I also used to think that I used to ask them a question that, don't you get bored cracking the same jokes every day? So then
Yeah.
they used to tell their process that no, we thoroughly enjoy these jokes, and we get a high when people laugh. So
Yeah.
like that's something that we enjoy, and that is why we do the same joke every day.
Hmm.
So that was interesting. Then used to then, for example, if you remember the show Son of Abish,
Yeah.
its first season was shot there.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
AIB
I
Royal.
remember the projector was there. Yeah, they used to show
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So
Okay.
if you see old stand-up comedy videos, at the
Yeah.
backdrop you will see Canvas Laugh Club or Canvas Laugh Factory. It was called previously. So
Ah.
then I saw AIB's Royal Toads there. Like they started from there.
Mhm.
SNG comedy also started their stuff from there. East India comedy. So all the OGs of comedy started from there.
Yeah.
Veerdas used to come randomly and perform.
Ah,
So it was pretty interesting. Like used to get a lot, and because it was Mumbai and the places in Lower Parel used to have like guests like Ritik Roshan randomly sitting in the audience. So
yeah.
like a guy from a small town gets this exposure was something again very big for
Ah,
me.
hmm.
So all that happened, got to learn a lot of things about again storytelling and delivering jokes,
Hmm.
comedy basically there. Then I went back, did my second year of college, and then I got into an ad agency in Pune,
Okay.
a proper mainline and digital ad agency. I was working in the digital wing.
Hmm.
It was a client servicing role, so nothing much to do there.
Hmm.
But basically simple, like take the brief, give the brief to a designer, copywriter, whatever. Like
All right.
in a way, like it's derogatory for people who currently are doing it, but it was like a postman job. Basically, you get an order, you deliver it to someone, you take that work from here and give it to the client.
The
So
middleman.
middleman. So
Yeah.
not exactly much to add as an input, though you could,
Hmm.
but after a point it becomes too much. Like if you're working on say one or two clients, it's easy, like you can thoroughly think about them. But if you're working on seven clients, it's difficult to like give the same bandwidth to each
Yeah.
client. So
Yeah.
after a point you're like, I'll just get the work done and go home.
Hmm.
So that was there. But one good thing was which happened was, so this was in Pune again. So I
Yeah.
completed my hostel in Pune, and then I worked in Pune. So that was also in a way a conscious decision, because what we realized that that year in college, not like companies were coming, but they were not offering a bigger pay.
Yeah.
And if you have, and most people used to go to say Mumbai, Delhi, or Bangalore.
Huh.
But I realized that okay, if I'm not getting a bigger pay, why should I go to these cities where you have to spend a lot? So I
Hmm.
was like, okay, I'll primarily think of getting a job in Pune, because it's slightly uh, less expensive compared to these cities.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a job in Pune itself, because I just wanted to work for some time, earn, and then maybe go somewhere else, because
Yeah.
that was because I was paying my education loan, so I
Um,
had to like manage that stuff as well. So I
yeah.
got this agency job. I did it for more than a year, actually, 1.5 years.
Okay.
And one good thing that happened there was, uh, in the last 8 months of my job,
Hmm.
I had no work, like zero work, like literally zero work. Because
Okay.
yeah, because what happened was, so I was in the digital wing, and all our clients like went, like their retainers ended, their contracts ended, and no new clients were coming in.
Yeah.
And our team's brand business development person had quit,
Oh
and
shit.
it was difficult for them to find a new person. So
Yeah.
we literally had no work in the last 8 months. Like you you would be thinking that something would be there, but
Yeah.
genuinely no work. I used to come to office, open my laptop, go out for breakfast, watch videos, do fun stuff, all that. There was no work at all. Like we used to
Why did
play
you even
cricket.
go to the office? You could have stayed at home and you could have worked, no?
No, but so basically the rule was that you have to punch in every day because
Oh,
that decides your salary.
work from home nahi tha, na? Yeah.
Nahi tha. But it was just like working from home because
Ah.
we used to play cricket in office. We used to go for movies in between work. Like
Oh.
come to office at 10:30, 11, 2 p.m. go for a movie, 5 p.m. come back, do some stuff, and then go home. But
Hmm.
what good thing, why I said this was a good thing is that
Yeah.
I, because I can't like stay idle. I have to do something. Like this
Yeah.
is my nature. So
Hmm.
I had explored two things there. First was I used to be very active on Twitter
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
And because I had a lot of free time, free mind, you could think and do whatever. I There was no like thing in mind that I want to scale my Twitter or increase my whatever, but
Huh.
I was enjoying it a lot. So I used to be very active on Twitter, post jokes and everything, like more majorly in the humor space.
Mhm.
And I used to get a lot of response and all that. So I increased, like my following increased from what I was around 200, 300, and I scaled it to say 1500 Twitter followers at that time
Wow.
in
Yeah.
2015, 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I used to get featured in those BuzzFeed lists.
Wow.
My tweets used to get featured in news and all that. So that used to happen.
Huh.
So that was the first sense of like, okay, social media can work in your favor.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was like one of those. So at that time, we used to have a closed Twitter community of these people who are like active on Twitter, who post jokes, etc. So
Hmm.
like Akshar Pathak was one of them,
Yeah.
and these other guys were we were part of a group, and we used to like banter every day and do stuff.
Yeah.
So in a way, you can call it like Twitter celebrity kind of stuff was there. Like not exactly that, but
Yeah.
well-known handles on Twitter basically.
Huh, huh,
And
huh.
because of that, like a few opportunities opened up for me. Like I used to like I got at that time brand deals, which was like not much
Wow.
amount, but like
Yeah.
small. Like hey,
Cool.
NH7 is coming in. Can you do something? Put out something for that. We'll
Yeah.
give you passes or we'll give you some like small money. I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Huh.
So that was happening. Then uh, the Canvas Laugh Club thing that I spoke about. So
Yeah.
my immediate manager who was there, who was the programming head, he
Hmm.
started out his own comedy company.
Okay.
And because I had worked with him and he knew that I am active on social media and post funny stuff,
Huh.
he was like, "Can you handle my social media?
Hmm.
I'll pay you a monthly fee.
Yeah.
Can you do that?" I was like, "Okay, I'm free. I just have to put out jokes and
Huh.
put out, say, promote his shows. For example, if say X comedians performing,
Yeah.
promote these shows, put out stuff and all that." So it was social media management. I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, I'll do that." So that was again a freelance gig that I was
So
going
dancing.
doing, yeah, freelancing while doing my job. I
Hmm.
think it'll be illegal, but okay, I'm over that job now.
Yeah.
So that was there, and I was also seeing what I can do now because I realized client servicing is not something I want to do, or maybe even the agency work I am not really enjoying it. So I
Mhm.
was like, what next? What should I do? So yeah, so this freelance thing was happening. I was also like active on Twitter. Plus,
Hmm.
but and then I realized that I can't do this agency job for long because there's no input as such from my end, and I was also not like really enjoying. Plus,
Huh.
secondly, client servicing is in a way not as something I enjoy because you are the direct point of contact for the client. So
Yeah.
anything good or bad,
I think you
majorly
were
bad,
always interested in creative and like all these stuff, no? Like being around creative people and like working with them and all.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and in servicing, say you are client facing. So anything good or bad, they tell it to you. You have to handle it. And
Oh,
it's mostly bad.
yeah.
So you have to handle it. And I'm not really great at that because uh, I can't like tell lies and like please them. I just have to tell or I just like shut up.
Yeah.
So that was not something I was enjoying. And I used
Hmm.
to dread if a client calls, I used to dread, "Arey yaar, what should I tell him now?"
Yeah.
And all that. So I was like, I don't enjoy this. I enjoy this tweeting or whatever, like creative, like basically creative is a very vague word, but
Uh,
something which is like creating, making people happy or evoking an audience response, something like that.
hmm.
So I
Think
realized
about like
I
when you were working with Canvas Comedy Club and all, didn't you want to like start your stand up or like start making comedy or something?
Yeah,
Doing
so basically, because I was active on Twitter, the people in office used to say that you should try stand-up comedy and
yeah.
all that. But because I'd seen this closely, I knew that tweeting funny stuff is not equivalent to doing stand-up comedy on stage, because it's a very different art form.
Mhm.
Like you need to, it's not just telling jokes;
Yeah.
it's a lot of other things compared to that. So and I was at that time, I was like a bit shy, or like I had that stage fear, so I couldn't really do that.
Mhm.
So I didn't try. But a
Yeah.
lot of people used to say, go to open mics, try it, we'll give you a spot and all that, but I couldn't. And a
Mhm.
lot of comedians also said that, can you write jokes for me or something like
Will
that?
you
But
do that?
no, I didn't do that. But
Uh,
there were people who were asking that, can you do that? But I didn't. But this freelance thing for that comedy club of my previous manager, through him, a lot of comedians contacted me saying, "Can you handle my social media as well?"
oh, wow. Okay.
But so those conversations were in process. But at the same time, I was looking for what will be my next move. Like
Uh,
this agency thing, I can't do for long. Plus, there is no work. Literally, I can chill for a bit, but after a point, we got bored. Like,
yeah.
what will you do the whole day? You have to do something productive. So I was like, okay, I'll search for something which is there. So I used to like look after for jobs. Sorry, I used to also write for, there were pages called Faking News and the Unreal Times, which were parody websites,
Mhm.
parody news websites. So I had written a few articles for them as well in
Mhm.
this. It was like no money as such, but it's just like uh, a guest contributor, but they used to select a few posts which will go as their main posts, and all
Wow.
my articles used to had were selected for going on their main publishing thing. So I used
Damn.
to, yeah, so I used to write that as well.
Uh-huh.
I think I had done a lot of stuff, but I'm not remembering at all because I've done very vague stuff. But yeah, so these things were happening, and I
Uh-huh.
was searching for my next move, the next job, and that is when I saw a post by Varun Grover, the writer and
Yeah.
comedian and lyricist. He shared a post of this company called Pocket Aces, who were hiring writers for their brand Filter Copy. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, they were looking for writers. So they used to have a website as well, just how BuzzFeed has a website and they have that video
I
division.
remember Filter Copy Wala website. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Filter Copy used to have a website and they were looking for writers for that website.
Hmm.
So I was like, this looks interesting. And I looked up their social media, their pages and the
Yeah.
videos and website. I thought this is something cool. Let's try.
Yeah.
But at that time, they were looking for, say, freelance writers or guest writers, not full time role. I was
Okay.
like, okay, I have time in hand. Let's try apply and see what happens. So I sent to these faking news on Real Times and other articles, funny things that I wrote. I sent the BuzzFeed mentions that I'd got in those lists. Like I was mentioned twice in the list of 100 people you should follow on Indian Twitter
Wow.
right now,
Yeah.
and a lot of my tweets were also like featured. So I was like, great. So I shared these links as well.
Hmm.
I shared that I've worked in Canvas and this,
Hmm.
etc.
Hmm.
So this really worked in my favor, and I got a call immediately the next day saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, we really liked your profile,
Yeah.
and we would love for you to write for us." So I was like, okay. Then I told them that I will write articles for you for sure, but I also am interested in writing scripts.
Yeah.
I want to try my hand at writing funny short video scripts because I think I can, because I've done these like comedy related stuff in the past. I can try my hand at that, and because they were also new, they didn't like really mind someone trying. Like it was for free initially.
Hmm.
I was like, I don't want any money. Also, just give me an opportunity. They were
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll figure out. So I wrote like one or two articles for them, and then one day they called that, hey, I think they didn't have any writer to write it. uh, I think that was the case. They called me saying, hey, we are doing a XYZ thing
Yeah.
and we want a script for it. So basically what happened was, at that time, Dhruv Sehgal and Karthik Krishnan, who still works there, they were the only two writers they had in house, and they
Hmm.
were working on some other stuff. But
Hmm.
they called me saying, we are doing a collaboration for the film Fan,
Okay.
Shah Rukh Khan's film
Huh.
Fan, and they were doing a promotional video for Red Chilies. So they
Hmm.
were like, "Can you write a video for it?" I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay."
A
Like,
big opportunity, no?
yeah, like I'm sitting in Pune, chilling in my full-time job, and I have time in hand, so why not?
Yeah.
Like I'll write, and the thought was really interesting. Like I write a script here, sitting in Pune.
Yeah.
They shoot it with, they shoot it for Red Chilies. They promote it, and Shah Rukh Khan was supposed to be in that video as well.
Wow.
I was
Okay.
like, this is a great
Yeah.
opportunity. Why not? Free में कर लूंगा मैं, कोई problem
Shahrukh
नहीं.
के लिए script.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll write it, and then I wrote a draft and sent it to them. And these film collaborations are very like dynamic. Like you send a script, their schedule is very random. Then they'll
Yeah.
get back to you after 2 weeks and then come back. So,
Hmm.
but they really like my script. Like Dhruv and Karthik, both of them really like my script. They
Yeah.
replied saying like very funny. We'll tweak
Yeah.
it a bit, but this looks really funny. So I
Huh.
was like, okay, that's great. And in the middle, because they also used to do regular videos on their channel that started. So I
Hmm.
wrote two videos in while this Shah Rukh Khan script was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
These two videos, I wrote the first draft. They made some changes. They shared the feedback with me, and they were shot. Like they shot these videos and released them as well. So I
Hmm.
was like, "That's great. Like this is something I'm really enjoying."
Yeah.
Uh, so that happened. I wrote two sketches for them, and then the Shah Rukh Khan thing came back saying, "Okay, some changes, but this looks better."
Yeah.
Then they shot the video. It was called Every SRK Fan.
Okay.
Uh, and so I don't think it is there on YouTube because of some copyright issue, but you can find it on Facebook
Okay.
if you're able to. If Facebook search works for you, all the
Huh.
best. So I did that, and Shah Rukh Khan didn't act in that video as such, but in the CTA he was there,
Huh.
saying, "Hey, if you like this video, please share it, and don't
Exactly.
forget to whatever watch my film and subscribe to Filter Copy, whatever." So he was there in that video. So I was like, "That's pretty great." So in the middle, I was again writing sketches for them while doing a full-time job here. I was
Yeah.
moonlighting when it was,
While, yeah. I know.
uh,
While doing a full-time job here. So
yeah,
casually like, put it on there.
yeah. But this was like the first few videos weren't paid. Later they started paying me as well, like a very minimal
Huh.
amount. But that was happening. And then one of the founders, he found out that I'm also very active on Twitter. I'm like
Yeah.
posting funny stuff, like getting mentioned in these lists and all that. So he was like, "Hey, we were looking to expand our team.
Hmm.
We would like you to come in full time." I was like, "That's great. Like, I would love to do this."
Yeah.
But the thing is, because it was like a very small team, they were what, 10, 12 people. So they
Hmm.
were also like, as you know, startups, they were also trying to figure out what the structure will be, whom should we hire next, and all that. But
Huh.
one thing they were for sure looking for is that interesting people who can do these things, like get them and then figure out what we can do with them.
Yeah.
So that was the conversation was happening at parallel with all this writing thing that I was doing.
Hmm.
But it took a very long time. Like this, I am talking about August 2016.
Hmm.
So since August till December, this conversation was still going on. That,
Okay.
hey, you come in, we are hiring, we are getting funding, so wait, and all that. It was happening. But I was sure that he they were sure that they want to hire me. I was sure that I want to go. But where and do what is something that we were not sure of.
Hmm.
uh, Either I do social media or I come in as a writer
Hmm.
or do whatever, basically. So then finally, like November 2016, they called me to Mumbai and let's do a formal interview. Like he wanted me to meet the other founders and a few
Got it.
employees as well.
Hmm.
So, and because I was working with these people on a freelance basis, they knew who I am, but
Yeah.
obviously we hadn't met
So
ever. This was
since
all.
I mean, by interview, since you were already working on that.
Yeah. And because so they knew how I work and how I write and my style of working, but we had not met as such. So then I was like, okay, I'll come in. And
Hmm.
then we met. I had a few interview rounds and all that. And then they were like, okay, obviously we like you, that
Hmm.
this is what I want to do and these are my expectations, whatever. So they said I will take a week's time and let you know, but
Yeah.
we want to hire you for sure. And I was
Yeah.
also like, yes, I want to come on board. And
Yeah.
at that time, I still remember this conversation. I was talking to these founders, and in this is 2016,
Yeah.
and I at that time I used to consume a lot of content on my laptop, which was the thing. Like phones were not there that
Yeah.
equipped at that time.
Yeah.
So at that time, these people had told me that, phones are the future. People are just will be consuming content on the phone, and when Geo comes in, the market will like boom and all that. I was like, this is not happening for sure. I watch content on my laptop, so this is not happening. But
Yeah.
but okay, whatever. But
Uh,
now when I see that this is what people are talking about it right now, so like they were
great.
thinking of the future and they were right in that terms.
Yeah.
And they were like optimizing for mobile consumption since then.
Hmm.
uh, so these are the few things that I started learning there. So obviously after a week they offered me a job, whatever. I was happy with what the offer is and all that. And this was December, and first Feb I like shifted to Mumbai full time and joined Filter Copy.
Got
Pocket
it.
Aces basically.
Yeah.
So Pocket Aces is the primary company. They
Hmm.
at that time had channels called Filter Copy, Dice Media. So
Um,
Filter Copy is short form content, Dice Media is long form content.
hmm.
Then they had a food channel called Gobble.
Okay. Yeah, I
These were
remember.
the yeah,
Hmm.
it's still there.
Um,
So these were the three channels at that time.
hmm.
And because it was a very small team, we used to work on everything. Like it
Hmm.
was not key. Okay, you are hired just for Filter Copy. You are hired just for Dice Media, whatever. A
Yeah.
few specific people were there. For example, for Filter Copy and Dice Media, you need directors, writers. They can't do like food content.
Same.
So there
Okay.
were a few people who were specially for the
Hmm.
particular channel, but I was doing social media and marketing. So I used to do it for every channel
Got it. Okay.
initially.
Hmm.
So I joined in as a social media and marketing person.
Hmm.
Then we expanded the team slowly, uh, and that is when then we were specially given to Filter Copy. Like you handle just Filter Copy
Okay.
after a year or so, and there we had created a team which used to make memes at that time. Like this is 2017-18. So we
Huh.
had a dedicated team for memes
Yeah.
since the beginning. And that
Yeah.
time Filter Copy was like at the top. Like we were top in memes, we were top in videos, whatever.
Hmm.
So that is the first learning experience that I got of scaling something, scaling a team, scaling content, scaling your numbers, whatever.
Got it.
uh, and that is where like my primary learning happened. Like
Hmm.
so initially I was there as the social media and marketing person. Then I did a lot of partnerships as well, collaborating with these movie studios and
Yeah.
doing a lot of movie collaborations.
Yeah.
uh, then later I moved to say content strategy. Then I did writing, I did acting, I
Yeah.
did
Being in a
direction.
startup, you get to do all sorts of things, right? Like, I mean, like so many different things.
Yeah. Plus because you are low on manpower always,
Yeah.
uh, you have to do it. Like there's no choice at times.
Yeah.
So for example, I've done writing, directing, production, AD at times. Yeah, uh, marketing,
Yeah.
and everything. So basically, at times it's to happen that I am acting in a video.
Hmm.
When I have a break, I will go and post a video. Then I'll put ads on the video, then go back to acting, and,
Uh,
and then give feedback on the script on the same set. So
uh,
we used to do like these like multiple roles at once, and that a gives you a very good perspective of how different functions work.
hmm.
So you become more empathetic about people and the teams as well.
Yeah.
So because you're doing like all these jobs, I did client servicing also there, because
Wow.
there
Get
was
back to your old job.
yeah, because there was no one available for some time. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do client servicing also.
Uh,
So so one funny thing was which happened was there was a video in which I was the client servicing POC. Like the brand had come from Delhi to Mumbai on
uh,
set. I
uh,
was the client servicing POC. I was the co-writer on the script.
yeah.
I also acted in two scenes in the video. And because the director was my friend, so I also assisted her in one two scenes as an AD, because
Wow.
she was like feeling tired and all that.
Yeah.
So I did like these things also on set. It's like crazy, and because you can do that till an extent. Obviously, after
Uh,
that you have to specialize. But that was like a very good experience, which I'm like lucky to have.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
So those multiple job roles is something that but you have to be at the right age, at the right time there.
Yeah.
Like if you tell me now, I won't be able to do it. And
Hmm.
now my mindset is no, I will do just one thing and I'll do it really nicely.
Acha.
But
Okay.
at that time, you could juggle like multiple things and do whatever. And this was not like mandatory, but willingly we used to be in office till like late. Like
Huh.
people would like call out saying, "Oh, hustle culture" and all that, but we really had fun. So we used to go to office what at 11 a.m.
Huh.
and we used to stay there for 11, 12 p.m.
Fuck. Okay.
Like we
12.
used to, yeah,
Yeah.
and we used to enjoy. Let's shoot something today. Let's write something today.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, let's do something.
That's such a
Let's,
good creative spaces, right? Like, I mean, you enjoy the process and you like don't mind like spending a lot of time doing it also. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's something that I see in Brewer Market as well. Like, it's holidays now, but I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's just shoot. I shot like this year, this is the second one. I'm having a third shoot this week.
yeah,
And there are so many things happening. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. It's fun. Like, I mean, I enjoy this process, right?
yeah. That's what. And we used to come to office on weekends also. Like we used to just stay there. Like that was our home. And because our office is so when I joined in, we were in an old office, which was a very small one. Then we moved to a bigger new office. Like
Mhm.
all the office shots that you see at Filter Copy are from that office. So we milked the office so much because it was like a very nicely designed office, and you
Uh,
could also sleep there. The
uh,
only thing that was not there was a shower.
okay.
Apart from that, you could if
What
you
about a
came,
bed? Was there a bed over there?
not exactly a bed, but they were like couches where you can lie down. There were bean bags and all
Okay.
that. So if
Yeah.
you were, if you could do away with a shower for a few days, you could stay there. Like you could literally stay there. There was food,
Uh,
there was coffee, everything. The internet
uh,
obviously was there, and you could
uh,
just stay there and work. And we did that actually. Uh, so we like there are a lot of experiences like that. Like,
hmm.
matlab, willingly we're doing it. Like it's not
Yeah.
that where someone is forcing us to do it, and we're just to have fun. Like for
Exactly.
example, I remember one day, so this was a video we had shot, like I acted in that video.
Hmm.
So funny thing was that when I used to go on set, so we used to also hire actors obviously.
Uh,
So there were a few in-house people, and then we used to hire actors. So
hmm.
people used to be surprised that they used to think I'm an actor, but people were surprised that I also do marketing. I'm also
Yeah.
doing like uploading videos. I'm also writing.
Uh,
Uh, like in between, like while delivering a dialogue, I used to remember, oh shit, this line was not written this way. I remember this line was written some other way.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that used to happen on set. Uh,
Um,
so one time I remember uh, I acted in a video, shot it, whatever. I think I co-written it as well. Then
uh,
later I upload when the video got ready. It was a Sunday or Saturday.
uh,
Saturday, I think. So in the morning, I woke up, I came to office, I uploaded that video on YouTube, like the regular drill, thumbnail, caption,
yeah.
links, and all that.
Yeah.
So I like
You did
I was
all of that.
yeah.
You alone. Wow. Nice. I
Yeah,
mean,
so that was my job role, right? One of like
exactly.
it was marketing and social media, but I
Okay.
used to
Yeah.
do that as well.
Yeah, this friend of the other person that I work with, Pranay, like, he this thing he is a co-founder of this digital marketing head at Unacademy. So he's a big fan of yours. He was telling that Batana this thing Raunak ko when he comes to the thing, like yeah, done.
So that day I was talking about that Saturday. This is very random. I think you can delete this, but
Arey,
now
go
it's
on.
there. I will just say it. So I co-wrote and acted in that video.
Uh,
That video got ready. Then I did the uploading thing 1 or 2 weeks later on a Saturday morning. Came
mm,
to office Saturday morning, uploaded the whole video. Then we had that event called Social Nation, which is basically a YouTube fan fest ish kind of an event, but organized by a different company.
yeah.
So I had to upload that video,
Hmm.
go home, and we were performing on stage. Like we had a dance performance, a sketch come dance performance on stage.
Dance. I didn't know that.
Uh,
Okay, wow. I didn't know you
like
dance.
at that time I did, but
Uh,
I try to. If you train me, I'll do anything.
okay.
So so I uploaded that video.
Hmm.
Then I had to go and fetch my outfit from the designer who had
Uh,
who had styled us. I
hmm.
went there, I fetched my outfit, I wore it. I didn't have lunch at all on that day. Like
I can
whatever I was
imagine.
doing, I
Did you have breakfast at least? Because like the whole thing started like very.
just like tea and some biscuits. That's it. Okay. So in the morning came, uploaded the video, went to the designer, got my clothes, tried them, went home. Then people started calling, "Where are you? We have to leave." So we had to reach
Yeah.
the venue by 4:30 or 5.
Hmm.
And because you know how Mumbai travel and all that is, इसमें ही मेरा इतना time गया, so I was pretty late, so I couldn't eat anything at all. I uh, got dressed. We went to the event. Again, nothing to eat there, and hogging some snacks or some whatever we were
Yeah.
getting. Went there, performed on stage, uh, waited there. Then I had a shoot in Delhi the next day. The
God.
call time was 8 a.m.
Oh shit. And
Okay,
what was
and
the flight then?
so yeah, so the event ended, our performance and everything. Then we waited for a bit. The event ended at 11 p.m.
Hmm.
Uh, I had a call time in Delhi at 8 a.m. So my
Ah,
flight was at 3:30 or something, 3:30 or 4 a.m. So I couldn't sleep
yeah.
because I if I sleep before a flight, I definitely will miss it. So I
Ah,
couldn't sleep in that fear. I never sleep before flights if
ah.
they are at such time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So ate some random stuff, uh, took the flight, slept in the flight for a bit, went there, shot from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Hmm.
Straight, no sleep at all.
Hmm.
Then I had the flight the same night at 11 p.m.,
Okay.
11 or 12 p.m.
Wow.
AM, sorry.
Huh.
So went there, uh, went for the flight, did all the check-in. So we were early on the airport. I
Huh.
and one other actor, we were early at the airport, checked in and all that, and we were sitting at the gate.
Yeah.
Okay, and Delhi is a silent airport,
Huh.
and I had not slept at all.
I can
So both of us
imagine.
slept off. Slept off. We missed the flight.
Oh
We missed.
shit.
We slept off in front of the gate,
Uh,
and like it was pretty, like it was funny as well, but like that was the thing, like that's the level of random stuff that we used to do. I
huh.
took the next flight, came back, went next day to office again, like worked on a video. So we used to do a lot of stuff, and we
Yeah.
were like very attached to our work as well. For example, if I've worked on a video, I will make sure that I sit on the edit because I want the piece to come out really well because we've put in a lot of effort. And
Exactly.
at times, like, uh, what you create or what you, when the team is big,
Hmm.
the vision at times doesn't like flow, so you have
Yeah.
to sit with the editor and make sure that
Right.
put put this scene first, put
Hmm.
music here and all that. So we used to do that as well. So like, and in this process we learned a lot of things. Maybe do you want to cover it next, or we can just.
No, no, continue. Yeah. What? Yeah.
So I think we were at that time, like, say AIB, TVF, and
Hmm.
obviously us were there, and not many channels as such.
Yeah.
So that was there. But since the beginning, we started the practice of creatively things were happening for sure, but we put in a lot of analytics angle to it.
Got
For
it.
example, we used to analyze the videos very closely,
Hmm.
like see like what demographic is watching these videos, what kind of videos are doing really well,
Hmm.
and how can we use that insight better.
Yeah.
For example, since then, like since 2017, 18, we used to check, say YouTube has that retention graph that you have,
Hmm.
completion rate. So
Right.
we used to like closely check these things. Then we
Yeah.
used to figure out insights from that. For example, one insight was that a lot of people still do this thing in which when the video starts, they
Hmm.
have that call to action saying press the bell icon and don't forget to
Yes.
whatever, that call to action. We saw that people skip that call to action,
Okay.
so
Hmm.
that there's a drop and then people see it. So there's a
Even when there
rise
are
there.
like all these sponsor wala part, like I usually like I just drag it and I go to the like after the sponsor
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I start it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, this one insight of like initially just start with the topic, like start with the hook or with the video.
Got it.
That was one insight that we got because uh, YouTube mainly, like, retention is a very big part of like success of a YouTube video.
Yes.
And if initially people are skipping it, then that's not a good thing. So we removed that initial bell icon thing from the videos.
Mm.
Then other thing that we saw that was, if your CTA is too long, hey guys, I hope you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe, comment, whatever. If
Uh,
it's too long, people still like close the video at that time. So
Right.
we timed that CTA that it should be what, we came up with a math that if the video is X minutes long, it should be X% of this. So
Yeah.
like 10-second to 12-second was our uh,
Mm.
CTA if it's a branded video, because you have to call out the brand in that CTA.
Exactly.
So, but
Mm.
if it's a non-branded editorial video, we used to either keep the CTA very small, like 5 seconds. Hey guys, hope you like the video. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.
Mm.
Or we removed the CTA at all. So
Yeah.
like we optimized the video so much that it uh, plays better for attention. And if you see these things currently people are talking about, like whoever like talks about uh, success of a YouTube, whatever, even Mr. Beast, if you see his
Yeah.
podcast, he
Yeah.
talks about how to optimize the video better.
Huh.
And we used to do this in like 2017, 18. So these were the learnings. So we were very bullish about how do we want to uh, analyze and create content as well. So a mix of creative plus analytics is what we were trying to achieve.
What really works on YouTube, like according to you, since you have experience doing this, what really is like the strategy that people should look out for? Like, and how do people like make retain more viewers or like increase their watch hours and everything? What's your suggestion on that?
Yeah. So basically, it works two ways. For example, at Filter Copy, we were a network in a way, right? Like there's no one face of that channel. So
Mm-hmm.
you have like, so we were like more of idea driven creators. Like people watch it because obviously they are fans, but there's no face to it, but they watch for that idea.
Yeah.
Whereas currently very individual creators are coming in as well. So people watch for that creator, whatever that creator is doing, they'll watch for that.
Mm-hmm.
So both the things are different because for example, an individual creator might get a better retention than a network,
Got it.
because individual creator has a personality attached to them and their channel, and people follow people like relate to people. Yeah. So one thing is for the sure that while doing the filter copy example that I told, over analyzing at times also like acts very
Yeah.
negatively in your thing. So people usually put like say a 3 second hook and then start their video, whatever. But what we learned was like what I also tried to follow an optimal way is to uh, exactly come to the point in the initial few seconds of the video,
Okay.
like, and tell the audience what they will expect in this video. Like
Mm-hmm.
make that clear in the first, like for reels is very small, but
Got
say
it.
for YouTube in the 10-15 seconds,
Yeah.
can you like give a gist of what the video will be about?
Mm-hmm.
For example, uh, if I give you a filter copy sketch example, if we are doing a video between a brother and a sister,
Yeah.
so in the first 15 seconds or the first like maximum 15, minimum to obviously whatever you can,
Mm.
just give them a gist of what to expect in the video. So if the video is about say a love hate relationship or a banter between a brother and sister, in the
Mm.
first 15 seconds give that to them, like give one scene
Mm-hmm.
or give a idea of that, and then you cut to the title.
Mm.
So when I'm watching as an audience, I am clear what to expect in the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Similar is for like say nonfiction or other content as well.
Mm.
Like you start with that. For nonfiction or that kind of content, you start with a curiosity gap.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, say for example, I did a video, I'm talking about a reel, but it applies to a long form video as well. That
Okay.
say I spoke about Mumbai's CST station, and on the building there are 10 faces of various people,
Yeah.
and in those 10 faces, so again I said that because this building was built in the British era, you
Got
will
it.
expect that these 10 faces will be of Britishers,
Yeah.
but that's not the case. There are two Indians as well. This
Wow.
is my initial curiosity gap. Then
Yeah.
I come to the point saying, but before knowing that, let's get to know some background. So
Huh.
basically, you give an initial hook
Yeah.
and then you come to the story. So
Correct.
people will expect, okay, he's going to tell something about that.
I'm gonna wait for this. Like wait,
Yeah, yeah,
wait for this to happen. Got it.
yeah. And the other thing which I like found out in like storytelling is that uh, the best stories which are told us are not in the structure of this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened.
Mm.
Basically, it's like a listicle. Like
Yeah.
people say that five things that you can know about XYZ thing. But
Mm-hmm.
the story should be, I usually when I listen to podcast, I write things. So I make my own notes. So the story should not be that this happened, this happened, this happened, then this happened. It should be more of like a structure where you say this happened, but then this happened,
Got it.
therefore this happened.
Uh,
So
okay.
so it should be more of like you're weaving that story and not just telling it
Huh.
blatantly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for example, I always say that if I don't include this structure or this format of storytelling, all
Mm.
the stories are already available online.
Mm.
People will just go and search for it.
What new thing you're adding to the story, right? Like, I mean, what value are you giving to your listening viewers? Correct.
More than value, it's more about how you tell that story. For example, again, everything is available on the internet.
Yeah.
Like most of the things that I do,
Yeah.
or a lot of people that they do. Like,
Hmm.
don't people know how to start a blog or how to grow on social media? Everyone knows it, or
Yeah.
it's available. But
Yeah.
the way the creator or the person tells
Hmm.
is important.
Yeah.
So you weave it in a certain way, uh, so that it is more interesting to the audience. For example, if you see content wise, so when we used to do filter copy videos, the same videos like your friend is lazy, I am lazy, I have a love hate relationship with my brother,
Uh,
these videos are still going on.
yeah.
Like on reels also you see the same jokes, same things,
Uh,
but the people who tell or show
so
it
it's
has
like
changed.
it also is like that
Yeah,
matters, right?
yeah, so the insight is still the same,
Hmm.
but the ways it is conveyed is different.
Yeah.
So for example, in my content that I do non-fiction, I don't want to be a substitute for a Google search. Like,
Got-
I just don't want to tell what is already there on the internet. I want to tell in an interesting way, in a uh, way where it is more appealing to the audience. A, and second, it will stay with them.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I try to make it more, say, personal or more interactive in that way. So so like the curiosity gap that I spoke about, that
Yeah.
is really important.
Hmm.
Then the structure, like this happened, then this happened, therefore this happened,
Hmm.
that is why this is the outcome. So like it keeps you hooked.
Yeah.
It like makes you watch the video
Hmm.
more. Like there's a line by, I think, David Ogilvy. It is more for written text, but
Yeah.
it is also applicable for, say, video or short content, which is basically your first line should be such that it compels the audience to read the next line, and so on.
Yeah. And the
So
next line for the
this,
next one and so on. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so the same applies here as well. Like the way you tell that story is really important. So like,
Hmm.
to answer your question, coming back to your question,
Hmm.
that initial gist of like the hook of the 10-15 seconds where you give the audience the idea of what to expect in the video, and then go ahead and create the whole thing. So that's one thing for sure that one needs to keep in mind.
And I like
Other hacks,
story weaving also one apart. Yeah.
yeah, like how do you weave your story, how you do tell your story.
Hmm.
So you can, like, we also used to try a lot of various ways to do it. Like
Hmm.
sometimes we used to just have videos
Hmm.
where there's no dialogue, just a voiceover.
Yeah.
Sometimes we used to not even have a voiceover, just like actions may you are telling a story.
Got it. Like
So
mime or
then,
something like that, or those kind of videos, or action
not
video story in the sense.
not mime. So for example, there was a video in which that video was titled things that ruin your day. For example, you're walking on your phone and you like
Yeah.
get into a door,
Yeah.
like you're removing that idli ka chutney and it just falls. So these things, you're putting parle ji in chai and then it
Uh,
falls. So
uh,
these things, so compilations of these videos.
mm,
And the other thing which we also did was that we used to read a lot of comments and get a lot of feedback from the audience, and
yeah.
then create video on it. So
Hmm.
for example, this 10 things that ruin your day video that we told,
Got
in
it.
the end we told the audience to comment more things which ruin their day.
Yeah.
Then from those comments we selected a few more and made a part 2 of it.
Hmm.
So that's again in a way how you can curate from the audience and also then create content.
Mhm.
So we used to do that again. uh,
Okay.
but yeah, one other thing that we used to try at that time was, for example, creating a short video or a longer form show
Uh,
requires like a higher effort, right? Like you have to write a script, shoot for 12 hours, edit, whatever.
yeah.
But to decide what topic to make on, we used to test a lot of topics. How we used to do it, it was through memes. For
Oh.
example,
Uh,
say we want to make a video on newlywed couples,
uh,
when couples move in together,
yeah.
but we don't know if there is an audience which will watch this kind of video. So we
Yeah.
used to create a lot of memes on this topic just to see, does that meme work. If the meme works, we have a hypothesis
You
that okay,
know
this
that
topic
your
will work.
audience likes this kind of content.
Yeah, so we used to do a lot of like testing as well, like in software you call it A/B testing or whatever. So we
Yeah.
used to do that for content as well, like try and test and see what works, and then take an insight from there and make a longer form video. For example, this example I think everyone gives in my older companies, that the show, the Netflix show that we created called Little Things.
Huh.
How did it come in? It started from a girlfriend boyfriend meme.
Hmm.
Like one of the memes worked. Then
Okay.
we made more memes, they worked. We were like, this topic really works well. Then we made one short video on girlfriend boyfriend. It
Yeah.
worked. Then we made a part two of it. It worked. Then we made a few more
On
videos.
and on and on.
Then
Yeah.
we made a YouTube series. Then it worked. Then we pitched it to Netflix. They selected it, picked it. Then
Hmm.
we made 4 seasons of that show on Netflix, and that's how like a meme idea became a Netflix special in India.
Wow, it all started from a meme.
Yeah, yeah. So like that testing thing is pretty interesting, and I think we keep doing that on a longer basis. Like, for example, our meme team
Hmm.
and the writers team,
Yeah.
they used to like interact a lot because the meme team used to know what topics work.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like usually because they are active and they are creating and other things, they knew what worked. So
Yeah.
the writers used to talk to them a lot and saying that, hey, in this one video,
Hmm.
we want to show the protagonist to be a fan of something.
Huh.
So what do you suggest? So then the meme team used to suggest, for example, K-pop music has a lot of fans. So
Yeah.
can you make their personality as a K-pop fan?
Got it. Hmm.
Use that, and then it works well. So this is how like we used to. I think it still happens in photocopy, but this is something that. So our writers were not only creative or creative writers or creatively more
Hmm.
active, but they also had this analytics or this angle to it. So we used to like have weekly meetings where we used to analyze the videos
Hmm.
in front of everyone, be it
Okay.
writers or be it social media people,
Yeah.
and we used to share that analysis with everyone,
Okay.
saying this was the retention, this was that. So then we gave the backend YouTube access to these writers as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So they used to go and see, okay, how did my video perform?
Hmm.
What was the retention? What were the comments?
Right. Like, I mean, next one, etc. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was a good like habit that we created. So in a way, these were all creators. Like just how when you are a solo creator, you have to do all the things.
Hmm.
These guys were also like prepared to do that
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
creative space. So that's something which, so that those are the learnings which now I have and I try to apply in
In
my
use as well. Yeah.
content and work wherever it
How
is.
did you even start creating content? Like when did that happen? And like what was that story about? Like, and why
Yeah.
do you want to start creating? I mean, like especially video content, short form content. You said you were doing these YouTube also, like talking to the camera and everything. So what happened with all that?
Yeah. So basically, when I was with Photocopy again, I used to like create, like be in videos which are primarily comedy, funny videos,
Hmm.
basically, and create memes as well.
Yeah,
So comedy was something that I was enjoying at that time.
yeah,
And a lot of people who know me are also because of that comedy or filter copy or funny videos.
um,
But I also had like a very big curiosity. Like am generally a very curious person, so I like to know the story behind things, or I like to know what happened in the past and what we can learn from it and apply in the future and all these things,
hmm,
basically. So that was always there back of mind, but it was more of like, it is still a hobby, but it was at that time more of a hobby where I was to just read or explore places or go to heritage walks and all that.
hmm,
And on my social handles also, there was more of comedy videos that we used to do initially.
yeah,
But then later I was like, not, as you grow your tastes change, right? So
yeah,
this was like early 20s. Like later when you grow up, I was like, this is not like something my kind of humor. Basically, I've done a lot,
yeah,
so this is not something that interests me. Then
hmm,
I thought, why not like the hobby that I have? Why not publish it in front of people? Like,
hmm,
let's see if I can it resonates with like-minded people, and I build a community like that.
yeah,
The community building was not really the motto. It was just like, I like doing this. Let me share it publicly. Like whatever I know, whatever I learn, let me share it publicly.
yeah,
And because I had worked in a company which was a creator in itself, I
hmm,
had that experience of how videos are created, how content is created. So I
hmm,
was like, using the professional skills, using a personal hobby, let's combine it together and see what happens.
yeah,
So this is when I started basically. And again, for 2 years or 1.5 years procrastinated a lot. Yeah, I'll start. I need to have the perfect video before I start. It should be like bang on and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So I procrastinated a lot, but then during the lockdown, I was like, no, I need to start
I think that was the
something like
right time that you started also, right? That's when all short form videos and all kind of content also like blew up and social
yeah, yeah,
media like blew up. So right, starting at that time was like would have been like perfect for you, right?
yeah. But I again there also I started late.
Hmm.
Basically, 2020 was when the lockdown happened.
Yeah.
So the whole 2020, I was still planning that okay, it should be like this. It should be like that. No action, just planning. I was
Mhm.
just doing that the whole year. But then 21, when the new year started, I was like, no, from the new year, I have to start posting videos, else this will just be a discussion. So the last year, 2021, January, I actually started posting content.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
yeah,
And within a
so
year, you reached like 100K and all these things happened.
yeah. So, but that also like was, uh, it was like this, very flat, then some growth, then down, then
Yeah.
flat, then growth. It is pretty random. Like I've stopped looking at that growth now because it's just too taxing for your mind as well. But yeah, I think January is when I started 21.
Mhm.
I used to create these. So the reels had come in at that time, like properly reels were launched. And
Yeah.
at that time, they were like 30-second reels. Like reels had
Okay.
started with 30 seconds.
Mhm.
So we used to create that initially. Uh, so I started creating, and again, I didn't have like a proper camera and all that. My phone was also like the photo camera was really, I had a Pixel. So the photo camera is really good,
Yeah.
but the video camera is equally bad. Uh, but I was like, no, I have to start. Like, so I started shooting from that. Then I got a GoPro.
Yeah.
Realized that GoPros are also very bad unless you are using it for external action. Like if you're traveling for that, it's fine. But
Uh-huh.
if you're shooting in house or wherever, GoPros are not that great.
Mhm.
It's just for, it's an action camera after all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't really use it for a day-to-day shooting thing.
Mhm.
But I somehow like managed. I was like, abhi le liya hai, to might as well use it. So I started with that.
Yeah.
I used to shoot and edit my own videos initially.
Mhm.
Then a friend of mine was like, I'll help you do that. So I started like editing with him.
Yeah.
Uh, and basically, in that process, I learned a lot of other things, which things above what I learned in my previous job, basically.
Got it.
Or I was working at that time. So at that time, current job.
Mhm.
So short form videos are a very different ball game compared to a long form YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like in a few seconds, you have to concise that information and tell it to the audience.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it should be engaging. It should be like, I mean, it should hook the audience also so that they watch for long and everything, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Plus, I was talking about a very niche topic. I was talking about history.
That is
So it's
something
a
I want to ask you as well. Like, I mean, so you're working on niche topic, right? Like, I mean, how hard was it? Like, that's something that I wanted to ask. Yeah.
yeah hard in terms of
Hard,
exactly what.
like hard in terms of like this thing, especially with say putting it out there and like I mean even like breaking it into the market and also like growing like with respect to growth, right? And like what are your tips for like niche creators as well?
Yeah. So one thing for sure, like when people say niche, will have a lower audience, but just look at the population of our whole country
Yeah.
and the internet penetration.
Yeah.
Definitely on the internet, like no niche is too niche for sure. Like
Yeah.
that I've realized uh, in this journey that I've done, and I've seen a lot of people also talk about things.
Mm.
So like definitely no niche is too niche, and because this was something I really enjoyed doing.
Mm.
This was my hobby. I was anyway, even if there was no camera or social media, I was still doing this.
Mm.
So I was just like broadcasting what I learned.
Yeah.
So in a way, it was not that hard in terms of getting content initially because I knew I was reading a lot of books. I was
Wait,
researching
the
and
research was basically via books and websites or these things, or like what were your research process also?
books, websites, blogs. Then I used to go a lot to a lot of heritage walks, conducted a few heritage walks as well. So with these groups, researching with them, knowing their thought process, that
Mhm.
attending a lot of talks from experts and all that,
Mm.
going to museums and all that. So this was anyway I was doing that.
Hmm.
So all these things that I learned, I just used them in content. So initially there was no like problem as such, because there was a lot to talk about, and I was like creating say 1 or 2 videos a week.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy, and reels again very short form content. So initially it was pretty easy that way.
Hmm.
But yeah, in terms of finding a niche audience, I was not really sure if like people will enjoy. Like I knew a few people will be there
Yeah.
because there is an audience for that, but I didn't know that say a layman or a person who's not really interested in history
Hmm.
will enjoy it. And that was my challenge that I later realized, like how can I make it interesting for people who really don't enjoy it, but
Yeah.
if I tell them in a certain way they will.
Yeah.
uh,
Became more
so
commercial, right?
yeah, so in my initial audience was obviously the people who really enjoy
Hmm.
history, because I was talking very in depth
Yeah.
and very niche topics and all that. But
Hmm.
then I thought that, so previously I used to do, like before these videos I used to do those carousel posts. Basically, you post
I
5 photos
remember.
and
I remember. I remember. You had like
yeah,
videos, right? Also.
yeah. So no photos and a huge caption explaining it.
Uh-huh.
Then I was like, okay, let's do video. So initially the videos were more of like you talk about
Yes.
that particular topic in a video format. Then I was like, okay, now I have this audience, but I need to go try and go to a bigger audience. So how can I do it? So that is when I learned, okay, there is some complex story or complex information. I need to like simplify it in a very simple term
Hmm.
and create a video from that.
Got
So
it.
that was the next step that I did. Firstly, I built an audience which is more of who are anyway, they'll read or post whatever I'll post about because they're interested in that topic.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, this stage is done. Now let's go bigger. How can we do that?
Yeah.
That is when the thing was that I didn't really want to compromise on the topics. I didn't really want to do something like just because this is a mastery topic, let's create
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. At times I've done it also and learned from it, but I was like, let's refine